How many of you guys today actually understand what we're doing here? And I ask that question because I would like to take a moment to reflect. I'm a target case manager for Boystown. I have approximately 17 families I serve, and each family with a room filled with us, if I dropped every family in here, if you look around your tables, each family should actually leave here with services. Do you agree? But that's not happening. Why? Well, for a lot of reasons. Some of those reasons we don't control. About a few years ago, I asked myself, what could I do in this type of job? How can I help everybody? I was naive then, so. The quick answer is, I can't. None of us can. Each of us harbor some type of expertise in what we do. We know the information. We understand how to get it, but for some reason, it stops somewhere, and we don't know where that is. I remember my mentor gave me an answer to this. Matthias, you don't have to be great. You just have to be good at what you know. So, before we start our presentation, I would like to tell you this. Please do not be scared to say what you don't know, and reach out to the people that you think may know, because sometimes it only takes a phone call to help a family. And look at the amount of people in here today that we should be able to accomplish something. But I do have families right now, the majority of my families, they're hurting for something. And I'm still gonna search for it, but I know it's in here somewhere, so I'm gonna have to find it for them, or help them learn how to find it. So, having said that, I'd like you guys to give me a round of applause to Whole Child Leon for hosting this today. Boystown has been in Tallahassee for a long time. We have a story, and we want you guys to know that we are committed to being part of this community and helping us move the agenda forward. And to tell you all about Boystown, please help me welcome our Senior Operations Director, Ms. Bethany Lacey.
Hey guys. Thank you, Matthias. Appreciate that and all the good work that you're doing at Boystown. This is a huge year for us, so I'm really excited that I get to talk about Boystown. We actually were founded 100 years ago this year, and so yes, please applaud. That's a big deal for an agency to be in existence. We are celebrating all year long, so we're having a year-long birthday. So it's pretty exciting, some of the things we're getting to do in the community. But I want to tell you a little bit about how we started, because I think that's important to talk about where we're going to go in the next 100 years. We were founded in 1917 by Father Flanagan. Father Flanagan was a Catholic priest who, at the time, was actually working with the adult male homeless population. And his job, or his role in that ministry, was to try to rehabilitate these homeless men so that they could later become productive citizens in the community. And one day he was talking to one of these men, and he was trying to, pump him up and get him where he needs to go. And that gentleman said, Father Flanagan, everything that you're saying, it's right. I agree with you, but it's too late for me. I am older, I have lots of years of habit, I can't change, it's too late. I wish there had been someone like you when I was a young boy. Where were you when I was a boy? And that was a light bulb moment for Father Flanagan. And he said, wow, I think that my calling is not to work with the adults, but to work with the boys so that hopefully I can make a significant impact to really shape these young boys' lives and impact the greater community at large. So he went to the Catholic Church, he asked his bishop for money to start a home, and the bishop said, no, we can't. We love it. You have our blessings, but we can't support you. So he borrowed money from a friend, and he opened up the first boys' home in 1917. Father Flanagan, he was revolutionary in his practices. He believed that boys thrived best in a loving and enriching environment. This was very different from the landscape of our country at the time. I mean, think Oliver Twist. That's kind of what we did with kids. They were institutionalized, they were in child jail. They weren't orphanages, were horrible, deplorable conditions for kids. And Father Flanagan said, no, that's not how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it different. And he changed the way that America cares for children. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that. He said, I'll take every child of every color, of every religion, of every creed. I will not discriminate. And this was pre-civil rights era. This was a big deal. And in those days, when a church denomination ran a ministry, they really worked to convert their children to that denomination. So Father Flanagan was a priest, but he had children that were Jewish that he would drive the very long distance, because at the time Omaha was very rural, to get that child to synagogue. And that was a really, really big thing. And he did not believe in converting kids. He wanted to support the religion and faith of their family and their traditions in their community, and we continue to do that as we provide services. The good work that Father Flanagan was doing caught the attention of Hollywood, and they made a movie. How many of you have seen the old black and white Boystown movie starring Mickey Rooney and Spencer Tracy? Fun fact, we just had that. Spencer Tracy won an Oscar for that. And we just had that Oscar, and in fact, Matthias and I got to hold it and take pictures with it. It was pretty cool. We had it in town. They let it out of the museum. It's traveling across the country because of our 100-year centennial, so that was pretty cool. So once that movie was made, it really put Boystown on the map, and it kind of gave Father Flanagan a larger voice to make the kinds of change that he was trying to make within the welfare system. And sadly, after World War II, Father Flanagan, at the request of President Harry Truman, was in Germany trying to assist with the war effort of what to do with all these orphans that had become orphans during the war. And sadly, he was in poor health and passed away while he was there. But he famously said, "The work will continue long after I'm gone, because it is God's work, not mine." And we continue to carry on that mission as we go. So, the 1970s brought a lot of change to Boystown. In the 80s, Father Peter was our national executive director at the time, and he said, we need to start serving girls, because there's an upward trend within our communities that girls need just as much help as our wayward boys. And so he opened up Boystown, Omaha to girls and started serving girls as well. And he also said, Boystown needs to be in every community across the country. It was only in Omaha. But in the 80s, we started expanding, and that's actually how we got our site here in Tallahassee. In 1983, we opened up our doors, and so we serve lots of families in this community and also at 10 other sites across the country. So we're now a national organization. Father Bays is our current executive director, national executive director. Boystown is non-sectarian, but our national executive director continues to be a Catholic priest. We carry on that tradition of Father Flanagan. Father Bays really had a desire to see us expand services to not only be just residential, which is really our flagship program, how we started, but he believed in prevention. And we all know that prevention, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So he really started encouraging all the sites across the country to start investing our energy into creating some prevention programs. So not only do we have our residential programs, but a lot of other programs which we're going to talk about to reach families. His idea was he wanted a continuum of care, an integrated continuum of care that had met the family's needs, the right child at the right time for the right service. So this is the mission of Boystown: changing the way that America cares for children, families, and communities by providing and promoting an integrated continuum of care that instills Boystown values to strengthen body, mind, and spirit. Whew. That's really long. But this, simply put, what we do is we help give desperate kids, hope. We help parents succeed, and we help keep families together. And we do it using this integrated continuum of care. So I'm going to talk to you about these different levels of services because many of these are available to the families right here in this community in Tallahassee. So the top two residential treatment center and intervention assessment services, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that because those are two programs that we actually don't have in our community here. We have access to those through some of our other sites across the country or even through our corporate office in Omaha, Nebraska, but we don't have them immediately local, so I'm going to focus on all the rest down. So our family home program. This is really what we're most known for, right? How many of you before I got up here said we do things other than residential care? Raise your hand if you thought we only did residential care. Okay, so most of you kind of know a little bit more. That's good. But this is a program where children live in the home with a married couple who dedicate their lives to providing a family-style environment for these kids to heal. The majority of the children in this program are children that are in care, so they've been removed from the home, abuse, neglect, trauma, whatever the case may be. And it's a long-term residential program, so kids, the average length of stay here in Tallahassee is about 7 months long, but other places across the country, 1 year, 2 years, sometimes even until the kids graduate. We also have our foster family services. So we license, recruit, and train foster parents throughout the community. I think we have about 25 right now licensed foster parents. This year is a big year for us. We're trying to go up to 30, so if you're at all interested in becoming a foster parent, please contact me or Matthias after, and we'll kind of tell you how to do that. And I told Matthias I needed him to help me out because he's really tall, and you can easily find him for questions afterwards, so he's hard to miss. But the foster family services, what is unique about that is different than traditional foster care, is we actually have staff that support that foster parent in their role to act as a consultant. So if they're struggling with the children's behaviors, they're having a difficult time implementing treatment, they have a staff that is devoted to them to provide them some care and help them navigate, because we all know that the child welfare system is just incredibly difficult with lots of roadblocks and lots of barriers. So we train staff to support families in that. Our in-home family services. In-home family services is a pretty incredible program. We have a lot of data that says it's successful in keeping families intact. In fact, 95% of the families that we work with are still intact and doing very, very well, up to 6 months and 12 months post-discharge. These families are generally referred to us by the Department of Children and Families when they've gone out to do an investigation, and they have determined that there are definitely some risk factors, but not significant enough to want to remove the child or refer them to dependency case management. So they invite Boystown in to come and work with the family and really try to strengthen that family and teach them skills and help them to be empowered so that they can be healthy long after that we're gone. And then we have our community support services. We have quite a few community support services. Matthias talked to you about one of them, our care coordination, which is our targeted case management. Matthias, we work with about 100 families at any given time with care coordination. And so that's a really exciting opportunity for us to work with all of you all, because often you might hear us calling you and saying, hey, we need the service for a family, advocating for them to make sure that they receive all the services that they need.
And please answer that call when we do, please.
Yes. Please answer the call, Matthias asks. And then we have our common sense parent training. We actually are grant funded this year. This is the first year we had the ounce of prevention funding, where we can provide our evidence-based 6-week class of parent training free of charge. And we do it all across Gadsden, Leon, and Wakulla counties. And if your agency would like to have us come in and do a class, it's free and we're happy to do it, and it's evidence-based. It's really a great program that we're not utilizing very much because we're not serving as many families as we should be. So please help us get the word out, and we have information at the table for that as well. We have some other community-based services as well, which we'll talk about in a second. So these are the Boystown model elements. So you should see all these components in every program, the programs that I described, across the board. We believe in teaching skills. We believe that that is the greatest gift we can give a family, is to teach them the skills that they need to be successful. For a child, to teach them the skills that they need to be successful. So that is a primary component of the model of care that we provide, and we use evidence-based interventions and evidence-based model that we have a lot of research and data that says works. We know that our kids and our families are getting better. We believe in building healthy relationships. This really came down from Father Flanagan. He wanted children to be treated with compassion and dignity and respect. If we don't model respect, how will our children learn how to be respectful? And so not only do we train our staff on how to build healthy relationships with families, but we also train those families on how to build healthy relationships with people in their community, with their families, with their churches, etc. We believe in supporting religion and faith. Father Flanagan said that every boy and girl should learn to pray. How they pray is up to them. So we're always looking for that balance of an overemphasis and an underemphasis of religion and faith in a family's life. And we always try to support a family's faith in religious traditions because we know that kids get better often when they have a connection to a higher power. And then, of course, in the end, we want our families to be empowered, right? So we want them to be able to take responsibility for themselves and be able to be successful long after we're no longer working with them. We also have a national hotline. I don't know if you guys knew this. We don't use it's not used a lot in Florida, so we're actually doing a campaign to make sure schools are disseminating this information to our kiddos. But last year alone, the hotline interrupted 6 active suicides and saved 600 active suicides, saved 600 lives. But they've had, I want to say, over 2 million calls in the last few years, so it's a national hotline that children and parents can use if they're in crisis. Parenting.org is an incredible resource that you guys can all take advantage of. I have 2 toddlers and 2 kids in college, so that's like a long range of parenting issues. So I have many a times looked up online. There are all kinds of articles from experts. There's Ask the Expert a question. So if you search for an article and you don't see it, you can actually type in a question and an expert will get back with you and provide some information that you might need for that. So it's really awesome, and please feel free to spread that around to the clients that you're serving. So here are some of our results. I'm not going to read through all of those, but like I told you, we're research-based. We know that what we do works. 91% of our Boystown kids reach high school graduation compared to 64% of kids that are in other foster care programs that are not Boystown. Importance of religion is higher for the children that we work with. So you can see that. I'm not going to read all that out for you. But that data is true not only for our residential programs, but also for our prevention services as well. All right, so here's your call to action. You didn't think I was going to let you get away that easy, right? There are ways that you can support our mission and help carry us into the next 100 years. That's we want to really continue to carry on Father Flanagan's mission to change the way that America cares for children. And here's some ways you can do that. You can subscribe to our newsletter, follow us on social media, support our mission, and volunteer. We're always looking for volunteers. We have my volunteer coordinator just said, whoop, that was her. We have a beautiful, if you haven't seen it, please come out and see. We have what's called Art Town. It stands for Art, Resources, and Training. It's a beautiful facility that the community really rallied behind and helped us get off the ground to provide some enhancement services for the kiddos that we serve and also for our community. Become a foster parent, and please refer families to us. Some of our programs have different eligibility requirements, but that's why I brought Matthias, so you can find him afterwards, and he can kind of explain to you how you can refer families to us. Our website is there on the bottom, and here is our contact information. Do we have time for questions or no? What? All right, 2 questions. Any questions? Yes, in the back.
You mentioned getting referrals from DCF.
Yes.
So if DCF is closing their involvement with the family and referring to you, does it then become voluntary for the family to follow through?
It's what I like to call voluntold. Yes, it is voluntary, but if they do not engage in services, we do have to report that back to the department, and what happens after that is up to the department. Yes.
And usually just to piggyback on that, the DCF, whatever that case was referred to initially, will be monitored throughout, even though DCF has closed the case, but will continue monitoring services even after a 6-month period to make sure that the families continue along their treatment plan.
Right. With the changes in safety methodology, there's a little bit more of a continuum of keeping things open before closing out, that kind of thing. So, any other questions? Yes. Oh, I think hers was up first, but we'll do it really fast. Yes.
I know Matthias has been at our school, Hartsfield Elementary. I was just wondering how that works, the school visits and follow-ups.
Okay.
Well, now would probably be a good time. We just received the grant. We're part of the Promise Zone initiative, that means that we are working in a specific zip code within the county. And what that means, we go out to the different schools within that zip code only, and we speak with the behavior specialists, the guidance counselors, with kids that may have been having some issues, behavioral issues, or whatever. They don't know, but the administration probably sees fit that these families could benefit from some type of services. We get those names, we get a referral, we have a form, we get filled out, and that's what it takes. That's all it takes, and we're on the ball. We go out to the family's home or call the family up and then discuss our services with the family. It's free, obviously, and we let them know we're not the system, because that's where we don't get a lot of callbacks, because everybody's like, I don't want to get involved with whatever the administration is. But we find out what the problem is and refer the right services so that the kid could get help. Sometimes it's just therapy, sometimes it's to the dentist, but they don't have a ride. Sometimes it's a bus pass, and they just don't know who to call. Sometimes it's food stamps. Whatever it is, and we monitor those services weekly for weekly visits to the school to make sure that the kid, it is impacting the kid's behavior. And if it's not, what else can we do? So we do have staffings on this one kid after we get it referred from the school. But that is the Promise Zone initiative. We do not work outside those zones only because, I mean, every school in the county would probably have 50,000 referrals. So it is limited, but I always like to tell my anybody I meet that don't hesitate to call me, because all I have to do is probably just have one phone call to help one kid. And that wouldn't mean much. That doesn't mean we can't serve the family, but as far as the grant, we only work within certain schools.
And there might be another service within Boystown that we can connect them to as well.
Yeah.
And we had one last question over here at the table.
Jess, I would like to know more on how do you guys deal with the Hispanic population? Do we have a lot of Hispanics that are needing these services? Or do we have enough foster parents that speak their language?
Right. I mean, we are always looking to diversify our staff. So certainly we always make it a focus to try as much as possible to have bilingual staff. That doesn't always work out the way we'd like it to, but in that event, we do make sure that we have some interpreters that we can provide sometimes. So yeah, don't let that be a barrier. Give us a call and see if we can work through that. And yes, Spanish-speaking foster parents, absolutely. Come and talk to me after. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.